Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is the Tremendous Hustle channel, and I'm talking about the NBA playoffs. In particular, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Indiana Pacers versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I grew up as a Pacers fan. I am a Pacers fan, but I am also very objective, and I will talk about the weaknesses of the Pacers as well as the strengths of the Bucks. So let's get right into it. We've already had game one, and the Pacers won 117 to 98. They led throughout. It was not a very difficult game for them. They enforced their pace on the Bucks, which we kind of knew would be a problem for them based on the fact that they were missing Damian Lillard. Also, they're a little bit older. Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, even Prince. Those guys just aren't the fastest defenders in the league, and it showed up. They seemed to be getting tired, and as the second quarter went on, and then later in the game as well, just seemed to be a little bit gassed. But this is game two, and there's a huge adjustment. They're getting Damian Lillard back, which I'm sure Bucks fans are thrilled about. They're excited. Dame brings them, 24 to 26 points a game when healthy. I hope and pray that he is fully healthy and that he didn't rush back too soon from deep vein thrombosis, because that's a very serious issue. Blood clots cause all kind of serious health conditions, and could even lead to death in some situations. So I'm sure the doctors, though, did not play around with Damian Lillard's health, and I don't think they would put him in harm's way and have him play if he wasn't well enough to play. But with that being said, Dame's going to play. He said he's going to play tonight, and I expect him to really give it his all, especially early in the game. Wouldn't be surprised if he hits his first couple threes or something along those lines. But I do think that it's going to be a challenge for him to continue because of his conditioning. Trying to prepare, in practice or in the gym is not the same as being out there running and jumping and having people push you and do everything in their power to stop you from getting to where you want to go is a lot different than practice. It's hard to simulate that. So I think his limits, his minutes will probably be limited in this game. I would expect that. It would be pretty crazy for him to come back cold after not playing for 30 days and play 30, 40 minutes. That would be crazy. That would be the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen that happen before, and I don't anticipate that happening as well. I think from the Bucks standpoint, their hope is probably that they get a nice boost from Dame. It stretches the floor a little bit more, allows Giannis maybe a little bit more room to operate and also open up the passing lanes. Because I think that's what the Pacers did very well in the first game, was that they crowded Giannis, they built a wall, but they also didn't overcommit to him. So you have two or three different guys stunting like they're going to double team. It made it harder for Giannis, I think, to determine who to pass the ball to. So that just split second of pause that he has to make before he passes the ball on causes, the defenders on the Pacers side that extra time of being able to catch up and being able to reach those defenders and close out hard. And they did. The Pacers did a good job of closing out at their shooters, and especially their starters. Kuzma, Prince, they got no good looks. They really didn't. Everything was rushed, everything was hurried because of the Pacers' defense. They stayed home as much as possible. When they did pretend to front or double team Giannis, they got back, they found the right rotations, and that's what really hurt Milwaukee. Another thing that went the Pacers' way was that the Pacers, who they are not a great rebounding team, they did rebound very well in this game. And I think a lot of that was because they did try to stunt a little bit into towards the lane. They stayed in that 15 to 22-foot range on the perimeter on defense, which meant those long shots that were missing, they were in good position to rebound. So for the Bucks to have success in this game, they got to do a better job of, one, making their shots, give Giannis a little bit more breathing room, by having a little bit better movement. There was a lot of standing around by guys, and also they've got to rebound when they miss. If they can get offensive rebound opportunities, they're going to hurt the Pacers, because that's the Pacers' Achilles heel. That's their weakness. At least it has been for most of the season, is giving up offensive rebounds to teams. Now on the Pacers side, if they are to succeed in winning this game with Dame being back, they've got to stay with him. They've got to always have a shadow, a spy on him the entire time. Don't give him the opportunity to get wide open looks and get hot, because once Dame gets hot, it's hard to turn it off. It's hard to stop him, and he can do a lot of damage in a short period of time. So you have to make sure that you're staying close to him, that you're watching him, that you are not double teaming off of Dame and giving him wide open looks. That's going to be so hard for the Pacers. They're going to have to be disciplined on defense. Overall, the Pacers defense has been very much improved over last year, and just since January 1st, I think they're eighth in the league defensive rating wise. And I think the Bucks are probably around, I think the Bucks are like 10th or 11th or something like that defensively. So the Bucks have played pretty good defense too since January, but the Pacers are like eighth on defense, sixth on offense. And so that's also what the Pacers have to do. They have to continue to push the pace against the Bucks, make them run, tire them out. They don't have as many good players on their bench as the Pacers do. And the Pacers not only just have good bench players, but they have bench players that have a lot of stamina. TJ McConnell doesn't get tired. Obi Toppin doesn't get tired. Benedict Mathurin doesn't get tired. Those guys tend to play hard no matter what time of the game that they're put in. And so that's going to be a challenge for the Bucks, and that's an advantage for the Pacers, is their ability to run and their ability to continue to run for 48 hours, 48 minutes rather, for 48 minutes. Obi Toppin could probably run for 48 hours. I don't think I've ever seen that guy tug on his shorts or asked to be taken out of a game. He just seems to always have energy. Now the Bucks bench, they do have some good players on their bench, and I think that Doc Rivers needs to make an adjustment and actually move some of those guys to the starting lineup. Gary Trent Jr. hurts the Pacers and has hurt the Pacers many times, going all the way back to his days in Portland. He's a good shooter. He always seems to make big shots against the Pacers anyway. I don't know how he does against all other teams, but he's definitely a better option, I think, in the lineup than Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince is a good role player. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He's a good role player, okay defender generally, but this is just not a good series for him. This is not a good matchup for him. Um, and he tends to fade a little bit in the playoffs anyway. With every team he's been on, he may be okay, get you 10 points every game during the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's one of those guys that kind of like fades a little bit. Kind of like this is going to be a bad example, I know, but probably like a, you know, Justin Holiday type player. He's a Justin Holiday type player. Okay during the regular season, but during the playoffs, when the intensity increases, the defensive focus increases, he's just going to fade. So I think he should actually be coming off the bench where he can face maybe not quite the same amount of defensive attention. And I think he'd probably be much better off the bench than starting, and move Gary Trent Jr. and go a little bit smaller as well, so that you have a little bit more speed to match up with the likes of a Mathurin, Neesmith, and Nimhard on defense. Kyle Kuzma just has to play better. I don't really think that there's a better option off the bench for him, so I wouldn't necessarily move him to the bench. Kevin Porter Jr., I know a lot of people will say he should start, but to be honest with you, I think he does his best damage when he comes off the bench. I think he really needs to match up with the Pacers bench scoring, because the Pacers, their bench is not quite as good this year scoring as they were last year, but at the same time, their bench is still better than scoring than the Milwaukee Bucks bench. And if you move him in as a starter, he can play a lot of minutes, but he's going to get tired because he's not used to that situation. And he's also going to be forced to have to guard guys like Siakam and, you know, maybe get cross matched against guys like Tyrese and Turner. And I think that's going to just cause more problems matchup wise for the Bucks. I think he's a great six man, a guy that can maybe play down at the end of the game. But I think their best bet is to keep him as a bench player coming in and supporting the team. You know, so I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good series, I think, as well. I just don't think as the series goes on that the Bucks are going to have enough to beat the Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to win in six. I think the Pacers are going to win tonight in game 2 at home. I could be dead wrong. who knows, Dame may come out and drop 36 points on them. The Pacers have been known to give up some big scoring games to players, but it's happened a lot less over the last 4 months than it did previously. And I think a lot of that has to go to Andrew Nembhard, which I haven't talked about him much at all, if at all, in this video so far. But Andrew Nembhard, I think, is the key that makes the Pacers so much more dangerous this year, because he has limited guys like Steph. He's limited guys like Mitchell. And I mean, he's just played really, really well. Even on Anthony Edwards, which Edwards has a huge size advantage. Anthony Edwards didn't shoot very well against him in the 2 games that they played. Now, as soon as someone else took the assignment, Ant went off. But Nembhard was able to stay in front of all these guys. And a guy like Dame, who's not super fast, is not going to be nearly as difficult for him to guard as some of the other guys. Dame is great in the pick and roll, though, and that's going to help free up Giannis. But I think if they just maintain the focus on going over those screens and not going under and giving Dame, room to breathe. And Nembhard's very good at that. He's good at getting above the screen, getting around the screen, and fighting through it. I think he's going to make it very difficult for Dame, especially in his first game back. It'd be different if Dame had played 3 or 4 games and got his rhythm back. I think it would be a little bit better. Now, I do think Dame will probably play better in game number 4, number 3, or number 4. When they get back home, I think he'll play a lot better, and we probably will see more of a typical Dame type game. But I just think, to me, it just feels a little rushed for him to come back in this game, and without having a single game in between. I think it's going to be a lot harder than a lot of people probably are thinking. But anyway, those are my takes on the Pacers versus Bucks. I really am kind of ashamed that the NBA is not highlighting these 2 teams more, these 2 small market teams who have done everything the right way and try to build their franchises. They've tried to stay loyal to their star players. They've done the best that they can when it comes to trades, and they don't sign a lot of guys to really bad contracts. And they have really good, fun basketball players to watch. It's crazy how the NBA doesn't kind of hype them up a little bit more. ESPN doesn't hype them up a little bit more. They get stuck on NBA TV, for example, which is, this game is going to be on NBA TV. And I think also game number 3 is going to be on NBA TV. I don't think they get like an ESPN or ABC type game until probably this upcoming weekend. But that's just the way it goes, I guess. With small market teams, it's about which teams are going to bring the most advertisement money, which teams are going to bring the most eyes to watch the game and to, I guess, prop up the profitability of the league. But either way, I'll be watching. I'll be watching just like I've been watching a lot of basketball. A lot of these series have a lot of intrigue this year, and I hope the NBA really does a good job of promoting the sport and highlighting the good and staying away from a lot of the negativity that we've seen in the media this year. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like. Please subscribe. I am relatively a new podcaster, I guess you could say, for the NBA and for NBA games, but I'm looking to grow. It's one of the most fun things that I do on my own for free, and I figured this would be a good opportunity for me to use kind of my years of experience of following the game, of knowing basketball, of really paying close attention to all 30 teams, to get my thoughts out there and to hopefully highlight some things that I don't hear other people saying. I don't want to be a parrot of other media members. I want to try to bring insight that maybe you hadn't heard or you hadn't thought of. And so look forward to your comments. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me if you think I'm right in some areas. Tell me some things maybe that I didn't mention in the video that you feel are very important for this series going forward. All right. Thanks again.